Welcome back to February, and in Vancouver we are expecting torrential rains for the next 3 days. So in honor of the rain, I am wearing sunshine yellow for today. All right, so today I'm excited to talk to you about a concept that I have valued and used for a long time, which is all about how we need to update our identity. And I've spoken and touched on this before, but today I'd like to share with you 3 stories that I think powerfully illustrate the importance of updating who we are and updating information that's stored in our brain. So I want to start, the first story I want to share with you is about myself. So back in 1981, we had our son Timothy. And in a very short amount of time, I was in distress as a new mom. I had all these ideas of the mom that I wanted to be. And it seemed the gap between what I wanted to be and who I actually was being was getting greater and greater day by day, until that tension was literally unbearable. And I tried different things. For a moment or two, I really believed it was my husband, and if he would do more, everything would be fine. But it really did come back to me. And as I examined what was going on, in my distress, I realized that I had stored in my mind a lot of images, and my whole sense of what a good mother was coming from my mom. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She absolutely loved being at home with her children. And she did many, many, many things that fulfilled her in terms of making our clothes, love to cook, love to bake, all what I call the domestic things. So I had put in my mind all of those things are what it took to be a great mom, including being home every day, baking cookies, etc., etc. I think you know what I'm talking about. Well, I was a professional, I was working part-time, and a lot of what my mom did not match either my preferences, my skills, or really how I wanted to do it. Big gap between those two. Until I sorted that out and closed that gap and released all that stuff of how my mom had done mothering and let myself find my picture of how I wanted to be a mom, it was really very difficult. I was out of date. I needed to do something to address that gap. Another story I want to share with you was when I was teaching in Australia. And I was talking about this wonderful concept of updating the information in our heads. And a woman in Australia shared a story that I want to tell you. And it was about her and her mom. And her mom had been a very vigorous, healthy, strong mom who loved the outdoors. She did lots of hiking, she canoed. I mean, she was really one of these very robust women who almost literally could put a canoe on her back. And so this woman was sharing how as a child she grew up seeing her mom in this vigorous way, always outdoors, always capable of just about anything. Well, this woman grew up, got married, had children, and she told her children about her mom and how amazing she was and all the adventures that they had had. But the backstory is her mom now, as a senior, aging, was riddled with arthritis, crippling pain that actually made it almost impossible for her to get up out of a chair. She was in chronic pain and not at all the person that she used to be. So what happened that was really very, very heartbreaking was the children, the grandchildren grew up expecting Grandma to be the way she was. And when they went to visit her, they raced in the door expecting to find this vigorous, outdoors, capable woman. And she wasn't that. And in her anger and frustration at not being able to interact with her grandchildren the way she wanted, she lashed out at them, which of course created all kinds of upset. And this woman told the story, and it really illustrated as she realized that her unwillingness to update the information about her mother and her aging process was what had really created the discrepancy, the gap between what her children thought and what was really going on. So another powerful example of where updating is so important and so devastating when we don't do it. The third story I want to tell you is a more recent one. I was coaching a client and we were looking at how she wanted to move forward. And as we were looking at the businesswoman she wanted to step into and be, and the way she wanted to manage her finances, she realized that how she was viewing herself and the way she handled money was all based on old information of when she was a teenager and when she didn't handle her money well and was irresponsible and maybe even got criticized or judged for that. Those thoughts and feelings were what she was still acting on today and behaving as if she was that teenager, when in fact she's not. Big gap between the past and the present. And so one of the exciting things is in 2015 we have strategies and techniques that can allow you to really update these things. These are strategies that did not exist when I was that young mom. And many people have said to me, gee, I wish I had what we've got today way back when I was younger. In Success Beyond Beliefs, the group program that we have, you have an opportunity to experience going in, finding the files that contain that information, and not only looking at that information and finding out, is it up to date? You can actually do something about it. Paul, who works with me, said, Lynn, that's really like, the difference between a file where you can only read the information and a file where you can go in and edit. How valuable would it be for you to go in and be able to update and edit the information, or in fact, in some cases, delete files that are out of date? Because that last client I was talking about who was way out of date, she needs to really let that information go, step into the present and recognize all the skills she really does have in terms of managing her money and being the businesswoman she really can be. So if you are noticing there's a gap between how you want to show up and how you actually are showing up, if there's a gap between how you want to perform, if there's a feeling like you're bumping up to that upper limit, that glass ceiling, or maybe you just feel like there's the suction of the day-to-day routine, you're stuck in a rut somehow, and you can't break free of that suction that's keeping you stuck in normal, then consider what you can do about it. Consider coming to our program and having an opportunity to really update files, release files, and really shift your identity so that it's serving you in the way you want. All right, so good food for thought for this week. Think about your life and whether you are really getting what you want out of it. And I look forward to being with you next week. We've got another exciting topic coming up. So if you're interested in Success Beyond Beliefs, the group program, it's happening in Vancouver on February 28th and March 1st. If you click on the link below, you can get all the registration details. We would love to have you at the program. And next week, I will be talking about an inside makeover. Is that for you? See you next week.